Hello, in my newest screencast where I will be showing how you can create a QnA chatbot using virtual agents and QnA Maker, plus the very easy approach using just using just virtual agents. So the first thing is this very simple approach. It is doable by simply creating a stack of topics where each topic is simply like a question and an answer. So we have a question, and you can simply put more trigger phrases that are common, that are similar to this question that you'd like your user to ask. And then in authoring Canvas, what you have to simply do is to put the value of the answer. So the only action you need to put is actually a message answer, right? And then having a set of those makes you a QnA bot, where once a user asks a question, the bot just jumps into the right topic and shows this message. But you can do it as well much easier. If you have a web page that is designed in a QnA mode, for example, this one about the coronavirus of the World Health Organization, is a simple QnA. We have a lot of questions and answers. Now, if I take this site as a source, I can use the functionality that is called a suggest topics. What I have to do now, I need to provide the URL of the site I want to use as source and start processing that. After a couple of minutes, virtual agents will create a stack of topics, as said, with a question as a trigger phrase and an answer that was found on that website. So let's give it a while, and after those several minutes, it will generate that stack of topics. However, what I wanted to show you as well is that you can as well use the QnA Maker. So this is going to be my very simple QnA bot. And first, I need to create a knowledge base. So you need to log into QnA Maker. Then you have to follow the tutorial, the steps that are displayed. The first thing that you have to do is you need to create a resource. Here in Microsoft Azure, you need to create a cognitive service resource that will be used for both. Your QnA will be built on top of it, plus this will be your cost center. And remember these two values. Then you need to go to QnA Maker and create a knowledge base. So I have created already my knowledge base, but it's really empty. Now, what I want to do is to actually fuel it with the data. So what I'm going to do here, again, I will provide this URL from the WHO site as a data source. So this is going to be my data source, plus I will add a file. So I have a file created that is my organization's QnA about the coronavirus situation, how employees proceed during this isolation time, and how should we work remotely, and so on and so on. So the QnA from the organization is quite simple. It's just a document, a Word document with, again, a question and an answer below. So I'll use this file as an input as well. And that's it. Right now, what I have to do is to save and train. So that will load all the information. It will load all the data from the provided sources and generate a set of questions and answers. This will again take a minute. While this is going on, let me check if the Virtual Agents has already processed. No, it is still processing the questions from. Okay, fine. It has already processed questions from WHO website. Now you're gonna see how it looks like. So it has processed the provided URL as an input, and it has generated 23 topics, suggested topics. Now, for each of them, I can simply add them to the topics, so they will fuel a list of topics available in my bot. I obviously can pick just one of them or two of them or whichever I want, but just let me show you how it looks like. So each topic is built the same way. It has one trigger phrase and it has a message that simply displays the content related to this question. And that's it. There is no sophisticated logic behind. Just that easy. Back to my QnA bot. So I have several topics. I have several trigger phrases. Trigger phrases, not topics in this case. Now I want to go into authoring canvas to create actually a conversation. So first, the bot is going to ask a question. Hi. And then we want the user to simply provide an answer. So maybe we'll just do it more understandably. Let's rename this variable. I love variables that have not only the name that says what is actually stored under this variable, but also displays a type of the variable. So if that's a text variable, I'm always appending at the end this text postfix. All right, so now we have a question. And then what I want to do is actually check in the QnA database if there is an answer for this question. So let me just check if my database has been saved. It is. So let me just jump into the edit to check if the questions are there. So what you can see here is that the QnA Maker has again uploaded contents from the website and from my document and has created a set of questions and answers. Awesome. So for that, I have created a flow that is called, get answer to question about the COVID. And this flow simply is going to be used by my Power Virtual agent to call the QnA and get the most appropriate, most matching answer to my question. So you see the trigger, the response, and then the QnA Maker. Generate answer. So I have to provide 3 values. All these 3 values you can find under the settings. So once you jump into, under the publish. So you have to publish your database, and then once it is published, it should only take a minute. So once it is published, you see all these values are here. So you have the URL. You have it is the QnA database ID. So that's the one I need to copy it. Right? Then the URL. Where was it? Then the URL as a host, and then the endpoint key. So I'll copy it as again. And fourth parameter is simply the question. So now I'm going to save it and back to Power Virtual Agents. So now the next action is actually going to be the call an action node. And here I need to find get answer to the question about COVID. As a question, I'm passing this parameter, and then I have an answer. So I'll do it this way again. I found an answer. So here bot is going to display the answer. And in the same step, it will ask if that actually answers user's question. So user will have 2 options, yes and no. Now if yes, bot will simply display a message. Awesome, I am glad I was able to help. And that's it. Now if not, it will display the message. And then if this answer that the bot has found is not sufficient, it will pose this question to the human agent. And then the purpose of the human agent, the job of the human agent, is going to be to answer this question. But what I want as well to do is that once this question is answered, I want to fuel my QnA database with this question and that answer. So for this purpose, I've created another flow. It is called send question to an agent. What this workflow is actually doing, it is first responding to the Power BI agent, because we don't want the flow in agent to stuck until a human agent responses, but it's actually posting an adaptive card to Microsoft Teams. This is how this adaptive card looks like. It is very simple. I mean, it's not going to look this beautiful in Teams because Teams is not really supporting all the parameters that I'm using here to craft this card, but it will look decent, I assure you. So the next action is actually the new one that has arrived in Teams in January, that is called post an adaptive card to Microsoft Teams channel and wait for the response. So I'm posting this adaptive card with this question, and I'll show it here, and I have this field here for an answer. This field here has an ID AC answer, and plus the save answer button has ID AC save, and cancel has an ID AC cancel. Why? Well, because once the response from this card is received, and I need to parse it because the output variables from the card are still kind of not working, it is in a preview. So I'm parsing the response body from this action, and then I have a couple of outputs. So first one is submit action ID. So based on that, I can decide whether user hit submit, so like confirm that they provided an answer, or that they hit cancel. So simply said, I don't know an answer and I can't do anything about it. Now, what I'm doing next is once I receive this answer once I receive this response with an answer, I want to update this QnA database, right? That's what I said. So I'm using the QnA database API. You can read about it here under this URL. You can find it in the description of the video. And it simply describes what endpoints we have for cognitive services, especially for the QnA Maker. So there is one to the patch for update, and then there is post to publish. So once you provide this new QnA pair, then the best way is to publish it, and then this question and answer will become available for the next processing. So what I'm doing here is I'm patching my QnA database with this specific body according to the documentation, and I'm providing two values. The first one is this subscription key. So that's the value you can obtain from your Azure portal from the service. So that's the key. Just let me be sure. And also there is the endpoint. The endpoint value URL you also can find here in the Azure service. So these two values, the endpoint and the subscription key, are there in the Azure service, and you have to provide them here. And then the second action is to publish. So again, this time I'm making a post to the URL with the subscription key, and that's it. All right, so now let me call an action, and this time the action is called send question to an agent. So again, I need to provide the question, and then the bot is going to ask a question simply. Say, is the other question I could answer? And actually, I want these two branches to finish with that. All right. Then again, yes and no. If it is yes, then we will move all the way up to the beginning, so here. But if it is no, then we will simply end this conversation with the survey, and that's it. Now, what is also important, if we used authentication here in virtual agents, so if we ask a user to authenticate, we would be then able, using this approach I showed in a previous video about getting user context in Power Virtual Agent, to obtain their email address, and then simply once this question is answered by the human agent, to post this answer to their email. So just like to complete this loop, to complete this whole conversation. Also, we can just ask a user, hey, if you'd like to receive this answer to your email, once it is answered, simply give us your email. That is really up to you. What I'm just showing here is how you can actually create this QnA bot using the QnA Maker. Fine. So I think it's the right time to just test it if it works. So I have a question about COVID. Let us see if it's working. What is my question? How should I protect myself? So right now the bot is posting this question to the Flow, and Flow is querying QnA database to get the most matching answer to this question. So it found an answer, and this answer is simply coming out from the WHO database, and it's really huge, right? So yes, it definitely answers my question. Is there any other question I could answer? Yes, so this time we'll try to make it a little bit different. So what is your question? What kind of soap should I use to wash? I hope that there is now an answer to this question in WHO. And there is an answer. Okay, so it found an answer. It found an answer about how you should behave. But I think it is not actually answering my question. So I will say no this time. And right now it is posting this question to the human agent. I'll show it you in a moment. And now I'll say no, there is nothing else you can do. And so, yeah, it answered my question. I was really happy. So in Teams, so there is my new unanswered question. And you see this card is kind of different to what you saw in a designer, because as I said, the Teams is not fully supporting the latest functionalities in 1.2 version of adaptive cards. So what kind of soap should I use to wash my hands? Alright, so there's my answer. Now I can save it. I am showed the confirmation message. And then once I jump back to the question to agent, I should see that, yes, my flow has succeeded. So it actually sent this message to the QnA database, hopefully. Right, so it updated the QnA database and it published it. So now once I jump back to my QnA database, and here okay, so there it is. So you see, now there is a new question and answer, what kind of soap should I use, and there it is. What is really important is you have to create manually this editorial source as a context. So like once it is not there, this updating of the QnA database won't work, because it is just by default putting this QnA here in this group. And if it does not exist, it is failing. This is actually what I found. So it is published, and right now if I again go here and ask my question, and I again ask this question about my hands. All right, so now I just put this question. And yeah, there it is. So what kind of question, what kind of soap I should use? And there is an answer that we've provided. So this is actually how it works. And by saying this, by showing this, I wanted to encourage you to create your own chatbots, not only around COVID situation and the current situation as well, but you can actually use it to create your QnA database for help desk, for procedures, for HR procedures as well, like placing holidays request, or just maybe for onboarding as well, so that if an employee has a question about, I don't know, tools, where to find software, whom to ask about the password, and so on, then you can actually create such a chatbot. Or if you don't want to use it internally for your employees, you can as well create such a chatbot with a QnA underneath to face your customers, so that it can answer questions about products, about your services, about your operating hours. It's really up to you. And as said in the beginning, you can do it in two ways. The first one is a very simple one, so that you can create as a stack of those topics, where each topic is just a question and it has just one action, that is a message, just showing an answer to the question. Or what I prefer more is to really use a QnA Maker to create your interactive QnA database that you can actually update anytime the provided answer is not sufficient to the given question. Obviously, if this is something that is facing public, if it is facing just the internet, it would be just better to have this possibility to input somewhere an approval step, so that someone actually reviews what was the question and what was the given answer, so that you just don't fuel your QnA with any kind of information that is maybe not relevant to the QnA purpose. But apart from that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it will inspire you to build your own chatbots with the QnA Maker. If you have any questions, simply follow me, find me on Twitter and ask me on Twitter, or use the contact form in my blog, or just leave a comment below. Thank you very much.